Good day, folks. So we are doing John Lennon. We've got the pencil sketch already sorted. This is the AMSR video, yeah. So we'll get that started. First and foremost, I've got the pencil outline done. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go over that quite a bit with a darker charcoal now. So it's gonna make basically those lines a lot more darker and almost imprint them onto the drawing. I can then come and I'm just gonna blacken out the whole thing because this whole side's all dark, down here's all dark, and basically the face, it's a bit brighter, but there's still some form of texture on it. So I want to, it's easier to remove charcoal if I give this a light dusting, so it's predominantly grey or dark. But yeah, let's get started. You will hear me drinking coffee throughout because that's my thing. But yeah, let's go. I'll talk to you through quite a bit of it, but it might not necessarily be at all because I'll let you actually see the process happening. But obviously it'll be a long video. It'll just be me doing this piece, but you get to enjoy seeing the whole thing come together from the start. So let's go. Right, so I'm using a soft charcoal pencil to start with. Hair wise, I don't overly care about that. I'm just blocking that in. The likes of hair is one of those things that you can normally get away with. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the exact position because hair anyway will change. Yes, it may look a lot like the photo in the end with regards to hair, but those straggly bits, no one is ever going to check. Plus, it's never going to change the drawing. The things like the eyes wrong, actual physical, strong features, if they're wrong, you will notice. You will not notice if I've put like a hair out of place or something. It doesn't, that sort of thing doesn't matter. So I'm just blocking in basically where the main hairline is. This whole area is dark, so that'll all be darkened out anyway. The main shape, the main line of the face is important. So you want to get that sort of right. That's one of your, I'll call them key lines. There's key lines you want to get right, especially in portrait painting, charcoal, drawing, whatever you want to call it. Circular glasses will always be a problem because it involves you drawing perfect circles. But the way I find this is just take it in small parts. So almost sketch your way around it. In the end, once again, you can sort out the final lines. But if I get these lines ingrained into the drawing, then we're all good. Because it's charcoal, you're never gonna, well, I suppose you will be able to get a certain level of detail. But yeah, pencil sort of opens you up to get super fine detail. Up close, this will always have an element of like smudginess. There's a lot of preparation I find is needed for charcoal drawings because pencil's more forgiving. If I make a mistake on pencil, I can rub it out. Charcoal, depending which piece you're using. If you're using like a soft charcoal, this shouldn't necessarily be too hard to get out. But if you're using a hard charcoal and you've pressed onto the paper, yeah, good luck getting that out. It's almost permanent. So those are sunglasses, so I'm gonna sort of block out that whole area. Shading, because I know there's some stronger lines in there. Stronger line there. But I can come back at a later stage and do those details. And these eyebrows. There's something which you never really think about either if you're new to art. You always want to go in the direction that the lines are going. That sounds sort of daft to obviously someone who knows what they're talking about. It makes sense. But if you imagine your eyebrows, they don't come from up to down. They'll go from down to up. So if you want to create the look of eyebrows instantly, you want to be going in the direction of the eyebrow. So you would want, to go the same direction. Right. As I said, if I can get the basic outline of the actual piece, then I'm just going to come in and totally blacken out that area. If I do come in with like a lighter charcoal, as in a softer one, all this can just be smudged. But if I have my lines already imprinted on the drawing, then that's just going to mean that I'll have the original shape that I wanted, that I've worked with the pencil drawing on. So the pencil drawing side of it is, I prefer doing it first. You don't necessarily have to do it. I could wing it and go straight in and do it, and I would get it as close, but I would just need to keep doing checks. So although here I'm referencing this iPad image, I am pretty sure I know where the lines are in place, right? Because I've already checked that offhand. If I was drawing this straight to here, you can create it. It'll take a lot more effort on my behalf. This sort of speeds up the process and makes it a bit simpler because I've done the hard graft before. It's easy to do it both ways. For me anyway, I would prefer to at least have some sort of basic outline in place. It just means then, although I'll check this about 3 or 4 times before I'll be happy with it finished, I'll do like reference checks off the photo. Proportion checks, because proportion once again is 100% key with paintings. I call it a painting, I don't know, a drawing. I think for me, when you get above a certain size anyway, it just always becomes a painting. It's like, oh, it's a painting. It's funny as well, because with my actual spray paint paintings, I would call them paintings, but I'm actually not using a paintbrush. I'm using a paint pen. So is it a painting or is it a drawing? Because I'm actually drawing with the paint onto the page. But either way, what a pointless topic. Yeah. Right, I'll shut up for a bit and let you enjoy. The handy thing with this easel, although it is 1000% not an easel, it's a wall which I've taped the drawing to. I can adjust the height on it. Unfortunately, where I'm working at the minute is not a good height for me because it's above a seat level and it's actually sort of down here, so I'm ending up sort of contort myself. The only way for me to do that is to sort of go into some sort of splits action and get it. But I find using the wall as opposed to actually buying a proper easel, which would go up and down, which would be handy enough. The wall's just as good because literally masking tape to the wall and then you're fine. another thing to note as well is when I come back on this, these lines aren't necessarily black, but as I've said, I just want to block these in place. If I can block these in place, then it's almost, the indentation's almost saved, if you can say that, onto the drawing. So that, once again, blocks those lines in. Those lines, some of those lines aren't even there with regards to how dark I've shown them. But yeah, at least it sort of saves its place, blocks it in. So yeah, once again, glasses, so I'm happy to give him a tint on that immediately. Right, the rest of the drawing. Not too worried about the hair, as I said. I'll draw the basic outline of that. Alright, you'll get to hear some pencils being sharpened. So with that, if you can see that, I use a scalpel and then I'm just putting it into a wee sort of petri dish. That's the problem with using soft charcoal as well. You fly through it, so it literally runs down so quick. But again, with the soft charcoal, if you can see that, you can't get much of a lead. You will see artists which have that really long. That's almost impossible with soft charcoal because that is so vulnerable to breaking, or prone to breaking. So if I sharpen that like I want to with a lot of length on that, it's potentially just going to break immediately, so there is actually no point in doing that. Different with hard and different with different textures. The medium could get it a bit longer. So this whole area here, I'm going to block us in because this is all dark. It actually goes up to his hairline, so we'll block that in there. Not so worried about actual what's dark and what's not at this stage. Just get that in. That hair will come through with that. The hair will be exciting for you to watch because you'll see as soon as you add, this bit's more boring because you're just seeing the smaller details put in, but as soon as I start adding big blocks, like blocking in area, you'll see a lot of like TikTokers and YouTubers will potentially do that first, which makes it impressive for a watch because you'll see, wow, look at that piece develop. But once again, that's just their style. They can grab your attention immediately by crunching some charcoal on a page, and then you're like, wow, he did that from that. But really, he's probably already prepped the drawing. He's just not showing you that part of the process, which is cool. There's a guy, a TikToker you'll all love. I think he's great. He's called Mad Charcoal. A lot of his stuff you'll see. Love his work, by the way, so this is definitely not slating the guy. A lot of his work is he'll smash charcoal and then go crazy on it. But you'll see then throughout the video that it jumps almost because he's spending time to actually put that detail in. And although he will do the guts of that on the page as he speaks, there is an element that he's editing as such, so he will go with the piece and get some lines right and then go back. But still, his stuff is amazing. I would advise you to go and check him out. Mad Charcoal, that's the guy's name. So these lines are way softer. I'm making them dark for a reason. His nose. Right, what I'll actually do is, instead of worrying so much about the detail, I'll block a lot of this in. To start to get the actual shape of the piece showing. Charcoal's something which is reasonably new to me as well. I've sort of been doing pencil and spray paints and then acrylic pens and stuff. I tend to like to stick in black and grey more because I love that style. On like photography as well, I'm massively into the whole black and white pictures. Any photos I've ever had done of myself, the black and white, I always feel they look better. They're more sort of striking. Obviously I do like colour, but I just pretty much choose to work in black and grey. It's more just, I think you develop your own style. It's whatever you find is your preference. I don't think it's anything to do with like I could try colours and stuff, and I sort of use coloured spray paint for different things, but it wasn't as fun. I sort of more enjoy just seeing the blacks and greys and how they develop. Right, I'm happy with that.